all of a sudden, like, we're the only white people in the area, and the people, even though it's their first time meeting you, they were just so generous and so
Hmm.
grateful. And I just found this whole new appreciation for, like, society, like, for what I have back at home, and for just family life in general. And it took away any worries that we have in college, or to do with sport, or even injuries. All of a sudden that just vanished when, you have a family around, just like sharing their love and sharing whatever food they have,
Hmm.
with you. And like, I went with like a whole bag, and I came back with nothing, because you can't give these people enough things. That you just I was actually like bawling my head out leaving Thailand, because I just didn't want to leave, these people, and these people that made us feel so at home.
This episode of the Smart Athlete Podcast is brought to you by Solpre, skincare for athletes. Whether you're in the gym, on the mats, on the road, or in the pool, we protect your skin so you're more comfortable in your own body. To learn more, go to solpre.com. Today on the Smart Athlete Podcast, my guest does not have a long list of credentials, but that is underlying the fact that she actually has done a fair amount of things. I think she's just a little bit modest. She is a biomedical engineer and races triathlon competitively. Welcome to the show, Fiona Mangan.
Thank you very much, Jesse. Delighted to be here.
So you're telling me you're spending time in France right now. So this is another episode where we're shooting across the planet, which is nice. You were trying to show me the kind of scenic, area you're in off the balcony earlier, but we had a bad connection. Um, Before we were getting going, you were saying you hadn't been there in 2 years. So what's it like coming back?
Oh, like, it's incredible, because we like grew up here. Basically every summer we went here as kids. So we're in Brittany, in a little town called Arzon, which is very near to the Port du Croisty, which is like a big harbour. So on kind of the northwest of France. So Brittany is it's like a Celtic area. So there's actually some traditions that are quite similar to Irish traditions or Irish culture, because they have their own language, Breton, and they have like their own like dress styles and like dances, and food and things. So it's a really, really French area. And it wouldn't be as touristy as like South France. And I'm lucky enough that a lot of my family are from here, and so I have my grandparents have a holiday apartment here that we spent. So they've had this apartment here for the last like 50 years, and my mom and her sisters would have spent time here, and then we spent time here as kids. And so we got to know like all the other kind of families on the beach. We always met up every summer, came here, and no, I really enjoyed it. And so I haven't been here for the last 2 years, so it's like so comforting to come back.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you're just stepping back into your own home house again, and
Yeah.
it's so nice and relaxing, and all you have to worry about is getting the baguette every morning.
So is that where you spent all your holidays, or did you go anyplace else?
No, so we used to like come here for about 2 weeks, and then my parents were big into camping. So my parents are big hippies, really. So when I think I was like 9, and Dad decided to convert a big red Barry's tea van. So Barry's tea is a very popular tea in Ireland, and they'll know, what I'm saying is it's a big red box, the tea,
Mm-hmm.
the tea box. And so we got a big red van. So it was the Barry's tea van. And he converted it into a camper. So I have 2 little sisters. And from then on, we went camping every summer. So we take the ferry over, come here for 2 weeks, and then travel all around France, with the bikes and everything packed up. And so, yeah, no, we used to go, sometimes we went into Italy and Switzerland, but mainly in France. So because my mom is French, she thought it'd be a good deal. She'd live in Ireland for most of the year, and then we'd spend 2 months in France every year. And Dad loved it, because Dad's a big triathlete, as well. So he only loved coming to France with his
Mm-hmm.
bike, and he'd leave us for the day, do his training. And so, yeah, no, I think it was a good for everyone, and we enjoyed it as well. Not the sport part. We enjoyed making friends, drinking French wine. running away.
I mean, a lot of that seems like it's like cultural differences because like kids around here will ride bikes, but I don't think they ride bikes like you would in France, or I don't know how the weather is in Ireland, whether it's conducive to riding bikes all the time, but
Yeah, no, you wouldn't have like I personally as a child I hated cycling. Because like our parents would make us go on like family trips, like all of us on the bikes, all the helmets on. Like the helmets were not cool. I was like, Mom, I'm not wearing this big ugly thing on my head. And so like back in Ireland, I never went cycling, like because my friends would see me with a helmet on, like that's not cool. And then in France, I would go because I was like, okay, we're in France, I'll go, but like we're not going for more than an hour. But yeah, like the weather in France is perfect for cycling, especially we would camp a lot around the Alps, and so you'd cycle around like Lake Annecy and it's just some gorgeous like views and scenery, which I didn't appreciate at all at the time, but I can imagine. And when I've been back now as an adult, I guess, and just yeah, it's heaven like going cycling around there. You just want to go out with your bike every day. But I think cycling is definitely more popular in France than it would be in Ireland. In Ireland, it does rain a lot for kids. But as in that being said, in the last few years, actual road cycling has become so popular. I mean, it's a hobby now. Like my mom has taken up like proper road cycling, and she would never have done serious. She only took up sport when she was like 45. So she's taken up cycling now for the last few years, and it's just amazing to see big groups out. Instead of going to mass on Sundays, people are out on their bikes. So there is a change in culture as well that's occurring in Ireland that I think France had anyway before.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I always like envision just masses, like everybody. I obviously this is oversimplified, but I always envision just Europe as a whole because we're dumb in America and all our states are one big country, so we just think of Europe as a big thing, even though it's not. It just everybody cycling because I'll watch the Tour and I'll watch some other Grand Tours besides the Tour de France, and you have guys that are from all these different countries. So I just imagine everybody cycles everywhere, and then there's some people that are just really really good at it.
Yeah. No, and that's a good, like, I mean, Germany as well would be very big into cycling and all the like Central Europe countries, but Ireland is still quite, it's like between England and America. So, we're very much definitely influenced by America as well. So I think like even the way we eat and things like that are quite similar to the UK and America. So I think, but the thing is, I don't know if in Ireland, our two main sports are hurling and football, which are national sports. And so when you grow up as a child, you're either doing one or the other or both. And so it's very rare to get into cycling or competitive swimming or running. It's like, no, you're doing one of these two field sports. So my community was very popular. Like football was what my village did. So Gaelic football. And Gaelic football is a mixture of like volleyball, basketball, rugby, soccer. It's played with like what looks like a football or a soccer ball, what you'd know as soccer.
Right.
It's played on a pitch the size of a rugby pitch, and you've got two goal posts and a net. If you hit the ball in the net, that's 3 points. If you hit the ball over the post, that's 1 point. And it's played by hand. It's very much, I don't know if you've ever, I guess it's a mix of American football as well and Australian football, if you've ever seen that too.
I was actually going to say if is it like footy, but yeah.
Yeah. And so you can hand pass it, you can foot pass it or kick pass it. You can run 4 steps with the ball, but you have to either bounce it or kick it to yourself. And that's called like soloing. So if you want to run up the field with the ball, you have to kick it to yourself every like 4 steps. And then you can pass it on. So it's quite like football is quite a physical sport, but it's quite fast. It's played, I think it's like 35, 40 minutes aside. And then you've got 15 players. And then hurling is played with sticks. So it's like hockey in the air is how I describe it.
Okay.
And it's the fastest field sport in the world. And that's really incredible, skillful sport to watch. And you play with a ball called a schlitter, which looks like a size of a tennis ball, but it's a little bit heavier. And you pass that ball around using your hurley, which is like, I guess your hockey stick in the air, but it's a wooden stick. So yeah, so when you grow up, you're playing one of these two sports. So I got into football at, I guess, around I was like 9, and I played that all the way up until I was 19. And I mean, I love football. That was such a team sport. I played with my club, and then I played with my county, which is like the next level.
Hmm.
And you don't really go past that because you don't play for Ireland because no one else really in the world plays football. Actually, that being said, a few American teams do come over sometimes, and a
Hmm.
few European teams, but you really play a county level, and so that's our two main national sports. So I think when it comes back to like cycling, and for me, they were kind of unusual sports to take up as a child.
Hmm.
Um, Now running, cross country running would have been popular, and then competitive swimming. But that being said, we were from a rural village, so we didn't have like a competitive pool nearby. The nearest pool was probably like 30 minutes away. So, you know, that's not convenient to do that. So pick up the next sport that's around you. And
Yeah.
same with the running clubs, they were kind of further in the city. So you got your sport by running around the cattle fields and playing football.
Yeah, I mean, I think a pool is like the biggest thing that holds a lot of people back from being able
Yeah.
to do triathlon. It's like, okay, you can get like a cheap bike,
Mm,
just a bike you'd ride around, not just like a competitive bike, and you can compete. But if you don't
yeah.
have the ability to get in and swim, then like
Yeah.
that makes it very, very difficult. And most people don't live in a climate where you can just like go to the lake and swim all year.
No. Yeah.
So I think that's the thing more so than like triathlon's known for being as expensive as you want it to be.
Exactly. Yeah.
But money aside, because you can get into it cheaply, a pair of running shoes and a cheap bike. Yeah, if you don't have that pool, then
Mm.
you're sunk to start.
Yeah. But I think even as a child, like you know, I don't think triathlon even comes into your
Right.
language. I mean, it's not like I mean, that being said, now I see a lot of young people getting into it. Don't get me
Starting
like I think
to.
it's getting so popular and big between in the young generation or like in kids in school, and they're bringing in lots of kids programs. But like I had never, if it wasn't for my dad doing triathlons, I would never have heard of it.
Hmm.
And that being said, like dad doing triathlons was like, we used to just get it was like us getting dragged along to competitions. I never saw it as something that I would ever do. As in, it was more like, oh, this is dad's thing. It was like his job. It was like
Hmm.
that's dad's second job. And
Yeah.
it was just normal. He had all his bikes in the garage, and like I'll never forget. Like we'd go with him to some competitions, and we'd help maybe give out the water. And like my little sister, we were at a Kilkee triathlon called Hell of the West, which is it's an Olympic triathlon in the west of Ireland, and it's quite a tough one because the open water swim, you run off from the beach, and it's an amazing race to do, but it's quite hilly and it's quite rugged.
Hmm.
It's quite a famous one, but I'll never forget we were giving out water, and my little sister, I'd say she was only like 5 or 6, but she was giving out the water, and a triathlete came by, kind of hit off the water bottle, and she just went flying. And we were just like, whoa, triathletes are scary. Like, we were just,
Was he running or on the bike?
oh, he was running.
Okay.
Yeah, but like you didn't even see, and like my sister was like, yeah, like so tiny, and not his fault at all, but she just went like flying, and we were like, oh yeah, no, triathletes are vicious. And we just used to be so shy. Like dad would bring the three of us along to like different races, and
Mhm.
we do everything to not be associated with the triathlon. you know we go off and like read our books or do our makeup or our hair, and but like doing sport, or there was some like kids kind of mini races on sometimes, and like there was
Mhm.
no way we were doing them. We are like, no, like that's not cool.
So I mean, how do you make the transition? Because so you go from like absolutely no way, like that's dad's weird job
Yeah,
to okay, now I'm doing this and
obsession.
I'm pretty competitive.
Or we'd say the other thing our mom would probably slag about is like whenever any of us got angry, or it's like do a dad on it, go for a cycle, you'll come back better.
Mm.
But it was like, I guess so. When I got into college, I kind of stopped playing football because I moved away up to Galway, and I wasn't with my home team anymore. And I didn't really want to go into a new team with like a new bunch of girls because I was so close to my girls back at home. And so I started just the first year in college, just kind of running just to kind of keep fit, and then going into the pool and doing a few lengths. And, I mean, it's not that I'd never swam before. I did swim a little bit when I was a kid and like did some like life-saving courses. And, mom got us to swim just so that we'd know what to do front crawl and breaststroke and things like that. And then after that first year in college, I started doing spin classes and I thought they were really fun. And then dad then one weekend was like, oh, you should come do a triathlon. And I was like, I don't know. And he was like, oh no, please come. Like you can have my old bike. And I was like, hey, might as well. I think I just had nothing else to do that weekend. And so I did the triathlon and didn't really enjoy it. I was like, yeah, this is fine. This is fun. Just did it for this great. But I was just dead after it. I was like, this is torture. But then there was something in me that I was like, but I know I can be better because, I can be better at running and I haven't really swam that much. So I could do a few more lengths in the pool. Instead of doing 10 lengths every time, I could do 20.
Yeah.
And, so you got that kind of like edge, that like post triathlon notions, PTN disorder, where it's like, oh, now I think I can climb a mountain after that, that kind of way. It's like, oh, I can get better at this. And then we went skiing for a week as a family, and I was snowboarding, and I tore my Achilles. So after like all that like hype up, that kind of brought me down. I was like, oh no. So I was injured for like, I'd say 3-4 months. And so then I started like doing a bit of cycling and more swimming because I couldn't really run on it. And that was the summer. So that was end of second year college. And that was the summer that I went to Thailand, then backpacking. So I was just like, okay, fine, just going to give sport a break now. And we went backpacking with my friend for about 2 months to Thailand. We flew into Bangkok. We went all up into the north, Chiang Mai, and into the south. Kind of did a kind of volunteering on organic farms for like 3/4 of it, and then the other quarter we were kind of, I guess, holidaying around and doing kind of the touristy things. But that was really fun. And then I came back, and that's when I got my scholarship to go to America. And I came to Georgia Tech so that was like end of August. And at that point, I think I'd done a lot of like in Thailand, you're kind of in a rural area in a completely different part of the world that I'd never been. And you're seeing things that I've never seen before. You're seeing tiny little communities, you're getting lost. Like we rented motorbikes and we got lost for like a couple of days in the mountains where we thought like we'd never find like civilization again.
And
I think
nobody speaks. I mean,
nobody speaks English,
everybody
especially
speaks Thai,
more.
English
Yeah.
or French in your case, since you
No,
go
and I
on.
was always used to being in a country exactly where I could speak the language. So I kind of
Right.
took that for granted. And here, all of a sudden, like we're the only white people in the area, and the people, even though it's their first time meeting you, they were just so generous and so grateful. And I just found this whole new appreciation for like society, like for what I have back at home and for just family life in general. And it took away any worries that we have in college or to do with sport or even injuries. All of a sudden that just vanished when, you have a family around just like sharing their love and sharing whatever food they have, with you. And like I went with like a whole bag and I came back with nothing because you can't give these people enough things that I was actually like bawling my head out leaving Thailand because I just didn't want to leave these people and these people that made us feel so at home. So with woofing, what you do is it's working on organic farms. So you work as a volunteer, and in return they give you their food and their accommodation. And we learned so much. Like we learned like how to grow bamboo, and we built like these little huts for a farm for their animals, and all these little things. And the kids were just like so cute. Like we climbing up on top of you, and there was just the two of us, me and my friend Leanne. And so like it's not like we're big strong men being able to like move bricks for like the whole week, but we were doing every little thing like gardening. And one of the grandmothers gave us these little bracelets, and she said like these are these like they're like safety bracelets. And I didn't take it off for like 2 years. So yeah, I think that summer changed me quite a bit. And I came home and I had the scholarship for America, and I was like, this is fiction. Like, it just didn't feel like real for me. Like
Mm-hmm.
real life is when you're surrounded by your friends and family, and it's like I feel like I'm running away again, going to America and trying to
Mm-hmm.
just have something on paper, maybe, because for me America was still not real. It was like something I'd seen on the TV. And yeah, we went a week when I was younger, when we stayed at a farm. But for me, America is what I'd seen in the movies, and I was like, is this even a real place? So I went to America, and it was definitely like one of the best things I've ever done.